Hi, we are going to begin with chapter 2, and this is related to section 1. And chapter 2 is about computing and information technology building blocks. In the previous chapter, we introduced the information technology key concept, and now we want to talk more about the building blocks of the IT or information technology. The topics involved in this chapter are the first one is computing system environment. So we need to look at the computing system environment, and then we need to look at the hardware components. So the hardware components as the first building block of the IT. Then we need to look at the software component, that is the second building block of the information technology or IT. Then we need to look at the communication and networks. That's a third building block of IT. And the fourth building block, which is the data and information. And there is going to be one more topic which is related to information technology resources and IT management. So that's why those four building blocks will be introduced in this chapter, in chapter 2. So, and we will definitely look at the different resources that is responsible for maintaining and managing the information technology. Let's begin with the first topic here, which is the computing and system environment. By looking at the diagram, the computing system environment involves hardware, software, communication, networks, and data. Those are the four main building block. In addition, they also interact with the environment, so they interact with each other, and also they interact with the environment. So they perform like an integrated environment themselves, and they interact with the external with the surroundings that include the different type of people, procedures, and different information. And this is all of this will formulate the computing system environment. The second topic of this chapter is the hardware components. The hardware components, as we said, this is the first building block of IT, and it is considered to be all the physical components. It's the physical components that we feel, that we touch, that are part of the computer system that we can physically see. So the hardware component consists, of course, of different combination of devices, and each device plays its role in formulating the intended use of the computer system. Now, all computers are made up of the same set of 6 building units. Okay, there are 6 building units, as can be illustrated from the diagram here. We have the input devices, we have the output devices, we have the memory, we have the storage, we have the arithmetic logic unit, and the control unit. So think about it as we got the central processing unit, which is the CPU. The CPU consists of 2 units, which is the arithmetic logic unit that does the calculation, and the control unit that does the control and coordination effort between all the different units. We have, as we mentioned, the CPU, and then we got the input and output. So we have an input devices, or there are input devices that they do inputting the data or information, and there are the output devices that are used to display or generate the data or in certain form. Now, of course, when we have an input and output and we have processing, we need definitely an area for storing the data. That's why there is 2 types of areas, which is one of them is called the memory that is used for reading the data from another storage area, which is a storage device. These components together, they formulate the computer system, and so you can say that those are the different units. Now, the control unit and arithmetic logic unit, sometimes together, as I mentioned, they are referred to as the CPU, and we will be talking more in more detail about the hardware component, or the hardware characteristics, or the hardware building block in section 3. The software component, which is the third topic here, the software component is basically the term refers to the set of programs that control the operation of a computer. The programs that we are talking about here that could be classified into two types: application-based software and support-based software. The diagram really illustrates this in a very nice way. So the application software, it's something that we work directly with in terms of the users. So the users, they deal with the application type of software, whether it is financial applications, whether it is desktop-based application, office application. So the application is more geared toward the user side. Now the support software is geared more toward the support personnel, the IT personnel who are involved in building, developing those software or running those software. So the application software, again, are considered to be the program that are written to accomplish certain business tasks like the accounting, payroll system, inventory, sales, marketing, and so on. Now, also they are considered to be the application that the user interface with. So the user in the finance department, they interface with the application that is related to the finance, and the users from the HR department, they interface with the software that is related to the HR functions. Now, software for standard application typically purchased from usually a vendor, and they are not developed usually in-house. So usually they are purchased from third party, like for example Microsoft or Oracle. They have software related to support the users or the application. Now, software for application unique to the organization typically developed internally or via vendor contract. Sometimes there are a need for developing software internally and or by going to a third party, and those software, they go through a software development life cycle. There are some examples that includes personal productivity software used by knowledge workers. Now, the example of application software, I mentioned already many examples, but we can really go over this again. So we got an accounting software package that we can consider as part of the application software. We have personal productivity software. Personal productivity software could be, for example, Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, database management system. There could be a presentation or graphical tools. There could be electronic mail, groupware, World Wide Web browsers. All these are considered to be application software that the user work or interface directly. Now, support software, on the other hand, as can be illustrated from the diagram, it enables application software to be carried or run. So they are like you can say that they are the foundation. They are running at the heart, and the application runs on the top of them. So this is like the layer that it runs, or it is required so the application could run. So it ensures that the computer, also hardware and software, are used efficiently. So it acts as a liaison between the application software and the hardware components. Usually they are purchased from hardware or software vendors, and we will be talking more detail about the software side in chapter 4. We can move on to the fourth topic here, which is the communication and networks. So networking is definitely considered to be a linking of geographically dispersed devices. So a way of linking different devices that are geographically separated by distances that could involve both voice and data, and that's what we refer to sometimes as data communication or datacom or teleprocessing or telecommunication. Now, of course, there is something here to remember, that there are different components, or there are different reasons for networking, and they are identified or listed in 4.1. And the main objective for or reason for using networking is the sharing. We need to use networking for sharing resources, for sharing networking resources, for sharing application, for sharing file services, for sharing components, for sharing devices. So that's why it's a sharing. That's why we utilize networking. It's for the purpose or the objective of sharing different resources on the network. Now we can also share the data. So instead of having the data replicated or having the data installed in every machine, we just have a single repository of data, and we can use the concept of sharing the data over the network, over the enterprise. Also, there's the third reason behind networking is having the power or utilizing the power of systems, the power of client-server model, because this model facilitates the utilization of client and server, so the server could process the data or could become or act as a server, and the client requester or requesting the data from the server. So, and also the primary reason for networking, we have enhanced communication. The communication has evolved and have developed, and we have now very high speed communication, and that has facilitated the networking capability. And the fifth reason, of course, is the marketing outreach in terms of businesses, that you can have your business available and you can really support different markets, or you can reach your customer easily. This diagram illustrates how the client-server model, we got a client from one side, we got a server from the other side, and how data are being transferred from the client and the server. So the client requests data from the server then acknowledges that request and sends the proper data to the client. Keeping in mind that we will be talking more in chapter 3 about this topic. Data and information, this is the fifth topic here. So the information is technically an organized way of data, organized, meaningful, useful interpretation of data. Of course, that could include data, text, sound, images, videos. Those are all examples of raw data or raw information. Now, examples that are spoken, for example, here the sound is also considered to be type of data. We will be looking for more about this topic on section, or in section 4. We'll be looking in more detail about the data side and the as a building block. Now, also here in 5.1, why should we manage data? Well, there are different reasons for managing data. So we need to answer this question: why should we manage data? We should manage data because it costs. What cost would your company incur if it didn't comply with financial reporting laws? So you need to answer many of those questions that are listed here in order for you to get the reasons why should we manage data. So we need to manage data because the data considered to be the backbone of our organization. They are the heart of our organization. We need to ensure that the data are being stored properly, are being manipulated properly, and saved properly. So those are the different reasons. So you need to consider all those questions before answering this question, before answering why should we manage the data. So we manage the data because we need to ensure that its availability to the decision makers, availability in the proper format. Again, we will be discussing the data portion later on section 4. Let's move on to section 6, which is the last section here, the IT resources and IT management. There are 3 types of IT resources that are involved in the information technology. There's the technology infrastructure, so it's like the technology infrastructure, the computer, the hardware, the software, the different communication. Okay, this is one part, which is the technology infrastructure. Then we have the human resources side, which is all IT professionals and managers that are needed to support the technology. Finally, the third type here for the IT resources and IT management is the business and IT relationship, or business and IT integration. So that establishes the way that to support the business. Now here on the next one, we will have the different IT resources that are involved in the business. That includes hands-on users, indirect users, users manager, and senior managers, information technology personnel, and different type of personnel that consider to be part of the different resources. By this, we are approaching the end of section 2. Thank you very much.